Hey, Tea Clubbers, welcome to another edition of This Is How You Brew It. This month, we have a very special flavor lined up. We have a 2010 Eight Immortals Dancehong Oolong, but it was stuffed inside of a pomelo rind. Now, these are actually quite popular. What they would do is they'll take a citrus, typically tangerine, typically pomelo. I've seen oranges, I've seen limes. But basically, what they'll do is they'll cut off the top of the fruit. They'll bore out all of the meat, but leave the rind, right? And then they'll stuff it with fresh tea and they set it aside to age. So this particular variety has been aging since 2010. So it's a 15-year vintage at this point. And we chose it because it's kept inside of this pomelo, and pomelos are kind of huge grapefruits. And, it's since shrunk down due to the aging process, but it looks like a pumpkin. And so, in terms of Halloween theme, today is actually Halloween right now. We're filming this right now on Halloween Day. This is going to go out later this morning. And so, in the theme of Halloween, here we are drinking this pomelo packed Dansong Oolong. Now, what I've done for this is I've been playing with this a little bit because, in all honesty, these citrus packed things haven't suited my palate. And it's common to put them with pu'ers and such, and it just never really worked for me. However, I wanted to give this round a shot, and I think what I would do wrong in the past is I would put all of the rind in. And what I did differently this time was I just broke off a little piece of rind relative to a lot more tea. And also knowing that this is a Dansong Oolong, I'm going to brew it differently. Whereas before, I think I was still young in the tea game and I just threw the whole thing in the thermos and it didn't taste so good. But I've been playing with this and I think I found some good parameters. So what we do, preheat your vessel, right? I preheated it with boiling water. And so in the time that I've been telling this story, the vessel's kind of cooled down a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna heat it up again, bring it back to temperature. And what I've done is, again, here's that rind again. You can't see it, but I just broke off the tiniest piece of it, and the rest is all tea. So just for a hint of that citrus as opposed to boom, right in your face, right? So give myself a generous amount of these teas. And the other thing I'm doing here that I don't typically do is I'm taking the time to kind of break it down first, right? This oolong is really densely packed in there. I don't mind if I break the leaves so much this time, but it's really densely packed. So I want to break it apart first before I put it in my vessel. I found that gives me a really nice quality brew. Okay, so heating up my Gaiwan, it's at 195. And as soon as I pour the water off, I'm putting my tea in, okay? So here's my little tea tray that I used to break it all down with. Okay, set this to the side. Good, let it just rest in there for a moment. Let it percolate, pour off this excess. Good, so here's the thing, all right? It's an oolong, Dansong oolong. I typically brew those at about 180, 185. But this is aged and fermented. It's 10-year vintage at this point. It's really densely packed. And so, yeah, it's an oolong, but I'm going to treat it a little bit differently here. So I'm going to brew it about 195, a little bit hotter than I normally would a Dansong. But again, because it's so densely pressed, I think I'm going to get a good brew out of it. Here we go. First rinse. The other thing that I want to do is, because it's a little older, and again, because it's densely pressed, I'm going to treat it like a densely pressed pu'er, and I'm going to let this first initial steep sit a little while. And that's, again, that first rinse, right? But I want all those densely packed bits to kind of unfurl and bloom more and give me an opportunity to taste it. All right, while that's happening, I think it's worth mentioning, we got a lot of new tea club members these last couple months. A good handful of you have stepped up to join us month after month, and I want to thank you guys and welcome you to our community. If you have any questions with these teas, of course, by all means, send me an email. We can get on Zoom. We could brew them together. Otherwise, you could just wait for these informationals and brew them with me here. But okay, so we'll say that's long enough. But yeah, again, before I move on, welcome new members. Hope you enjoy the tea. Okay. So here's our first rinse. Wow, look at that. That's what my buddy Matt Lucas would call 1980s wood grain brown. Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous. I'm gonna give it a good swirl. See, when you swirl it, then you want to look at what we call the legs, right? And so the liqueur will kind of drag along the decanter. And you can see the legs, the viscosity is what we're checking out here. I'll pour that off, let my decanter aerate just for a moment, and give it a smell. Now, let me say, I think I've been brewing this stuff wrong. Thank goodness for that tea club. Shout out Jamie, shout out Sohan, shout out the team, the fulfillment team over there at West China for recommending this tea. I was actually adverse to it at first because, again, I've had bad luck with these citrus peel teas, but this is nice. This is really nice. So that citrus is there, right? But it's not a punch in your face, not like an orange or nothing tart or sharp. It's definitely a pomelo. So it's going to be a different quality, not so sharp, right? But also because it's aged, it has a mellowness to it. So it's already mellowed because it's a grapefruit pomelo. But then to have it be 10 years older, oh man, that's really special. Yeah. In Chinese medicine, chenpi, tangerine peel, citrus peels, very, very simple, common, what we call bupin medicine, kitchen medicinals, if you will, things that we would otherwise use as spices, right? And then when you flavor and season your food with spices that are otherwise medicinally beneficial, then every meal becomes a treat, right? And so tangerine peel, citrus peel specifically, it's going to cut mucus, it's going to eliminate dampness, it's going to help assist and aid in digestion and soothe any type of kind of nausea or anything of that sort. The other thing is that the citrus is great for the spirit, right? And so depressed, if you're starting to feel the seasonal woes, right? Not as much sunlight, it's getting colder. If you're starting to feel down, sometimes citrus, really nice pick me up. Okay, so good tea for this time of year. Okay, smelling in here, that's quite nice. Dancong Oolong, as you guys might know by now from the Phoenix Mountains, very, very fragrant, kind of that tobacco-y, dark, oxidized oolongs, not like the high mountain green varieties that we get in the spring and the summer, but these kind of darker, richer types that are perfect for the fall. So we spent a lot of time with storytelling today. We spent a lot of time getting this thing prepped and ready, right? I'm sure that's probably an awakening experience for some of you that drink tea with tea bags. Just rip open the bag and pop, 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 pop. And, here we are 10 minutes into our video nearly, and haven't even started yet. Let's see. Okay, so we brought this up to temperature. I'm brewing at 190, 195, around that window. Since I did that initial steep quite long, I'm just going to do a flash steep here. Gentle agitation to move the leaves out the way and pour it off. Oh my. Oh my. I'm always fascinated when the shortest of steeps gives me such a dark, rich brew like that. Wow. Good clarity. You know, a little bit of sediment because I was chipping away and breaking it down into smaller chunks, but overall, really clear despite being so dark. The nose hits me right away again, that mature citrus smell. Oh man. Oh man. If you've ever taken like a shot of hard alcohol and you like immediately feel the heat as it goes down and your body immediately gets warm. Wow. Of course it's not alcohol, but whoa, that initial impact, that rush of warmth. It's almost like chills, but it's warming. Here we go again. Oh, there's more. Oh my goodness. Now it's wrapping around my shoulders. It's like pulling me down. The best way I can describe it, it's like you're in bed in a cold winter morning and you like inch your way up to to get out of bed, but then those down comforters and and the warmth of your blanket just like pulls you back into bed. This is the feeling of being pulled into bed. Oh my goodness. Mm. First sip, very pronounced. Second sip, very pronounced. Third sip, maybe I'm acclimated already, but let's finish off the cup here. For these brew sessions, I typically only do 2 or 3 steeps, but a lot of these teas can go the distance, right? And ideally, you would brew them until the same water you pour in is the same water you get out. That would be a full tea ritual, okay? That would be a completion in the process of alchemy, turning the turbid to clear, right? Going from murky and dark to clear and bright. And so that's an alchemical process. And so each of these teas in our premium tea club can easily go 20 plus, sometimes more steeps. This one, I would anticipate you could easily get 20, 30 steeps easily before you go completely clear. Okay. However, for these videos, these instructionals, I just do 2 or 3 steeps with you. But do know there is a lot of life available here. Again, distinct from your tea bags. You're lucky if you get 2 steeps out of a tea bag. And why would you want to? Pardon me, tea drinkers. It's always funny to me when people kind of consider themselves tea drinkers and they bust out this array of tea bags. That's my humor. Okay, so let's just do one more good steep. This tea has so much more life to it. I'm probably going to leave this and drink it through the day. But let's see. One more. Go. Flash. Steep. There we are. Look at that. Just as dark. There's like hints of red. Again, that kind of deep 1980s brown. I might be aging myself here. Let's see what second steep has to offer. Boom. Yeah, boom. Oh, I'm really getting the minerality of that rind in the back of my mouth. It leaves a really gentle coat on my tongue. It's not astringent. It doesn't parch your mouth after you sip it. It leaves a nice mouth coat. And the flavor lingers, it's like all in the top of my palate into the base of my nose. Really, really quite nice. I'd imagine kind of like the same way that the oils and the tannins of the tea will kind of stain the decanter and you still smell it after the tea is gone. I imagine that's a similar thing of how, the tannins and the oils stain your palate. And even though after you finish drinking, you can still very much enjoy. We call that an aftertaste, whatever language you have for it. I can even hear my voice. I'm kind of like mellowing out and toning down now. Wow, this is really sweet. Okay. Again, I typically don't do more than 2 or 3, but I'm going to do 3 today. This is just so, 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 so nice. Okay. Last steep for the show. Gentle agitation. Immediately pour it off. A little duller now on the smell here, which is to be expected. Color, all the more clear now, right? All that sediment has been rinsed out. Really, really clear, nice, even color. Nice, viscous brew. Yeah, I'm always fascinated how I put in regular water. It's just in these leaves for a second, and then it pours out thick and dark and rich. And wow, I'm fascinated by this stuff. Okay, to your health. Okay, I take it back. I've been brewing this stuff wrong. Sohan, Jamie, you guys did it. Pomelo aged. Huh. Dancong oolong. This is wow. Sadly, they only gave us, a little bit. This is expensive tea. It's 2010 vintage, hard to come by. You can imagine. And then once it's gone, it's gone. It's not like your standard warehouse wholesale purchases, right? The more you buy, the cheaper it is. No, no, no. The more you buy, the less there is, and it can never be replaced. It's non-fungible, and so yeah, the more you buy, the more expensive it gets. And so, if I'm not mistaken, I think we might have cleared out the stock over at West China Tea. So, if you got some of this, enjoy. All right, guys, it's a good place to stop. Enjoy your tea. 2010 Dancong Oolong. We have this new tea club thing. Many of you have jumped on it. It's no longer the 6-month, 1-year commitment. You can try month to month now, no longer 1 year at a time. We'll be switching things up and adding more things as we progress into the new year. Anticipate a collaboration with the Master Wong teas with the Pure Land team. Anticipate more flavors from West China. We're only getting started.